All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to share with you our upcoming theme of community helpers. We have a lot of fun things to share with you. Just a note as we get started here, this is being recorded, so it will be sent out and available to you after our session today, so that you can see all of these ideas at a later time or share them with your fellow teachers. I do want to also point out that we are only covering toddler today. So all of our photos and things that we're going to share today are from the Experienced Toddler November Kit of Community Helpers. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we will be sharing a sneak peek of preschool. So if you are only teaching using our preschool box, you'll want to join us tomorrow. If you can't join tomorrow, that will also be recorded, but just register so you get that recording. As I mentioned, my name is Sarah, but I do have Caitlin here with me. She's going to be manning the chat. She is going to be answering questions. So if you had them, please feel free to do that. And then at the end of our time today, she is going to share with you a little bit about how you can get started using Experience curriculum if you're new to the program or if you are interested in learning more. So let's get started with our November thematic study of community helpers. So in your box for community helpers and toddler, you are going to see 4 weeks of materials. So many fun things. So you'll have a different teacher's guide for each week. You'll notice that we have week 1 is Bella and the Umbrella. Week 2 is community helpers. Week 3 is Raccoon Finds His Balance. And then lastly, week 4 is This Little Piggy. For November's basic concepts, we are going to be covering the character trait of being resourceful. That'll come up during our Forest Friends story, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll be looking at the color yellow and the shape triangle, as well as looking at 3 letters, D, J, and U. And then we'll also have these 8 sign language words throughout the month. Fall, stand, go, stop, eat more, and rain, umbrella will be the sign language words that we will introduce and use throughout a variety of different activities. We'll focus in on the number 3 this month, and then our yoga pose is going to be piggy toes, which is a super fun one that we'll share in just a moment. If you are using centers in your classrooms or you want to start using centers in your Getting Started guide for your November box, you have some suggestions of learning centers that you can incorporate into the centers that you already have set up. So for example, this is a center suggestion that you could set up in your block area that you have or your dramatic area that you already have. If you don't have centers, you could select a few that maybe sound interesting that you think your children would love and set them up and use them all month long. These are just suggestions of ideas, ways to incorporate that theme of community helpers all throughout the month and all throughout your learning space. Your circle time display, you'll get all of these pieces and parts to add to your display throughout the month. As you see here, you see kind of everything on the board just to give you a sneak peek. Do note that we don't suggest having everything up all from the beginning. You can add the letters as you introduce them to the children, add the sign language cards as you're introducing it throughout the entire month. That way, your children aren't overwhelmed by absolutely everything. But you'll have your updated letters, the colors. You'll see that we also will talk a little bit about the color pink throughout the month. You'll have your nursery rhyme interactive poster, your weekly calendar, as well as your Forest Friends character trait number, and then of course your shape sack, along with additional cards that represent that shape. Here's a closer look at your finger play poster. So this month, it's going to be 5 little piggies. It's going to go along with our board book that's included during week 4. You'll notice that the pigs that were at the bottom can be cut out so that you can make it more interactive for your children to explore throughout your circle time. All right, so let's take a look at week 1. Week 1, we're going to be looking at the story called Bella and the Umbrella. You'll see that you get your family newsletter. Remember, you'll get a family newsletter for every child in that week 1 bag that you can send out to the families. It has the schedule and the activities for the week on one side, and then on the other side, you have that together time suggestions to take the learning a little bit beyond the classroom and take it home as well. Here you can see the story Bella and the Umbrella. Of course, you've got your original storybook that is a hardbound book, and then you've got your magnet pieces that go along with it. This is such a cute story about Bella, who is going through her community and meeting all types of people that live and work in her community. And it's a great way to introduce all of these people to your children. Another activity that you'll do with Bella and the Umbrella is umbrella raindrops. So this is going to be your sensory map for week 1. You can use Play-Doh, you can use puffballs, you can use a variety of different things to add to your sensory mat. This is a great way for children to kind of do that one-to-one correspondence, to get that sensory play, but also to be able to do some counting, all kinds of fun things you can do with these sensory mats. And then your stickers are great for those fine motor skills as well. Also, some great retelling skills you can incorporate into this. So you'll have a scene of the school bus and all the rain. And then you've got the variety of the characters where children can select and decide using which ones they want to use for their particular scene, practicing some of that self-awareness skills as well. We also have our mailbox sorting. So within your kit, you will also have the foam triangles for the month. So you'll have yellow ones, and then you'll also have pink ones of a variety of different sizes. And then you've got your shapes here to allow your children to be able to determine which triangle goes where and sort them by color. This is a super fun one. Practices a lot of their spatial awareness with using these foam triangles as well. And then, of course, we want our children to explore one of those people in our community of the mailman or the mailwoman. And so they're each going to create their own little mail bag. This is so fun for them. The activity has them putting in some of those foam shapes. So you can be doing some of that counting, but you can take it even beyond that and add this to your dramatic play area and have them be writing letters and delivering it to their classmates. This one can really be used all month long in a variety of different ways. And then our 2 sign language words for this particular week is going to be rain and umbrella. So children will get the opportunity to explore that with the story as well. Another one that is a fun one for them is an activity where they're going to get some of that real life experience of washing windows. So you can have children use a variety of tools that they may have seen adults in their lives use. It really is motivating for them to try some of those things and, get your windows washed while you're at it. So get a little bit of chores in there as well. And then, of course, we're going to talk about dropper art. So this is a fun one for them to do some alphabetic knowledge, because we're going to include the first letter of their name. So you can kind of see the letter E there. And then we're going to allow them to use paint and drop the different paint drops or raindrops onto the letter to create their entire piece of artwork. So this is a great one for those fine motor skills, but also for that creativity as well. And then we have stack of stories. So using your cube that you have, you're going to have some cube cards to put in there that have different aspects of the story. And then as you read the story and you roll the die, you're going to be able to use blocks and other manipulatives to practice how the story goes throughout. And then, of course, during the story, we're going to talk a little bit about doctors and taking care of others. And so wrapping the ouch. So using the ribbons that are provided to you for the different colors, you can use your dramatic play area, maybe if you have some doctor tools in there, and have your children practice caring for one of their stuffed animals, or even a friend if they want to wrap their friend's hand and wrap the ouch, and tell you a little bit about that as they're doing that, which is always fun. My kids had so much fun taking care of Mickey and wrapping all of his ouches and telling you all about it. So that's a great one. And then while we're doing that, talking a little bit about some letters and taking care of others, is B is for Band-Aid. So we're going to, even though B is not one of our letters for the month, we're still going to kind of circle back around to it. And we're going to allow children to take care of the letter B. So they'll have the letter, they'll be able to color it. For younger children, you might just want to let them color it and then put the Band-Aids on to decorate. Older children, you can have them rip the B in half and then be able to fix it with those Band-Aids, which is super fun for them. And then with your box this month, you are going to get these shape links. So this will come in your box and you'll use them throughout the month in a variety of different ways. One of the ways is for stuff the envelope. So you'll have an envelope with different numbers on it, and your children will have the opportunity to select the different shapes and stuff the envelope with that many shapes. You can expand this in a variety of ways, you know, add 3 triangles to it or only this color. So differentiating it for the children that you care for. And then you're also going to allow your children to have some time to practice just coloring and some of those fine motor skills, some of those emergent writing skills through your umbrella colors at the end. So identifying different colors. You can use crayons, but don't let that stop you. You can use watercolors, you can use paint, you can use the dot markers, whatever you want to allow your children to explore is totally up to you. And then in week 2, we are going to use our Follow the Path book of community helpers. Again, you're going to get your family newsletter to be able to send home so that the families know what you're going to be doing, but also have some ideas of things to do at home. You will, of course, have your magnets that go along with your Follow the Path book. Remember, your Follow the Path book is a way for them to practice concepts of print. It's a great way for them to understand that we're going to be reading from left to right and identifying different vocabulary words that go along with the theme as well. We are going to, in this week, pull out those colored cups that will come in your box, as well as the big puff balls. And you'll be doing some color buckets. So filling a bucket, just like a firefighter might need to do with water to put out a fire, you're going to fill it up with your puff balls and then do some counting work with that. Our stickers this week are going to be kind of a matching game. So your stickers are going to have the different vehicles or tools that the community helpers might use, and the children will get to match the photos with that tool or vehicle, and then be able to go left to right to match them up, maybe count how many dots are there depending on the children that you care for. Another one where we're going to use those pom-poms is rescue pom-poms. So the children are going to have to go rescue some pom-poms from different cups that you place around the room. You may want to place them up for the cups up and the children can see the pom-pom for your younger children, or maybe hide them for your older children. However you want to differentiate it to make it engaging and exciting for your children, you can absolutely do. But you're going to be practicing those colors again, yellow and pink. And then, of course, we want to add in some dramatic play. So we are going to allow our children to create their own police hat. They'll get to design their little circle there, add their name to it, whatever they'd like to do. And then, of course, they'll be able to do some dramatic play with that as well. A word that we, of course, want children to learn are stop and go. So during this week, we're going to talk about go and use the sign language word go. And then we're also going to integrate some of our story pieces and actually pull in some science into this as well, and measurement with Pool the Water. So you're going to use a recycled milk jug, fill it up with some water and tie the ribbon to it. And then the children working together are going to have to pull that milk jug over to wherever the fire is or wherever the fire engine needs to go. So it's one where the community can come together, your children can work together, and we can really integrate some of those science concepts of heavy and light and the weight of something. So it's one that integrates a lot of different skills and it's fun for children. One of my favorite invitations to create for this particular theme is the fire fork painting. So children will get this inspiration photo of a fire. They're going to get some different colored paints like yellow, orange, and red. A lot of times you can just do yellow and red and have them explore that when you mix those two together, it creates the color orange. And then they're going to use a fork as their tool to create the different flames throughout. It's a great one, very engaging for all children. And then for our sensory play, we are going to take a look at our Dalmatian dogs here. And so you have 2 sides of your sensory map for this one. One side, you see the 3 Dalmatians on there with the numbers 3, 4, and 5 for them to be able to do that. And then you have a more open-ended side as well, where it's just a picture of the dog and children can then decide how many dots that Dalmatian should have or how many spots that Dalmatian should have on it. That leads in wonderfully to our fingerprint spots, which is a fun activity for them. They'll each get their own little dog. And then using either black paint, you can have them, use a cotton ball to make the spot. You can use an ink pad and have them use their finger or dip their finger in paint. A variety of different ways that you can do this activity, but for children to decide how many spots should be on their particular Dalmatian. We also have our star search. So this is one where we're going to use that pocket cube again. We're going to have numbers all around the room, and the children are going to be able to roll the die and then go and find that particular number with that number of stars. So getting them up and moving, and by taking this game and putting it around your classroom or even your playground, if you're still able to go outside, is another way to integrate gross motor development into your number sense that you'll be working on. And then, as I mentioned, stop and go are the two words that we're going to focus on this week in Community Helpers. All of our sign language signs do have songs that also go along with them. So in your curriculum this month, you will have a CD of Community Helper songs. That CD is also available to be streamed online, where you can practice those signs and practice those motions of stopping and going throughout using song as well. And then we're going to allow our children to use some of those fine motor skills, those writing skills, to do the police car maze, to have the police car be able to go rescue the cat in our coloring page that ends. And then week 3, we are going to pull out our Forest Friends book. So our Forest Friends book this month is going to be Raccoon Finds His Balance. Again, you've got your family newsletter that is available to go home. It's going to have that together time. And then you're going to have a variety of different activities that go along and that are inspired by this book. So Yellow Line is one where you will have different lengths of tape that you can put on your floor. And children are going to select different tools, maybe the triangles that are included or your puff balls, and they're going to figure out how many it would take to cover that particular line, balancing those shapes on there or those puff balls on there. So you can do this in a variety of ways. You can add patterns into it if you want them to maybe make a pattern along with it as well. And here you can see is our Forest Friends book. It also comes with those magnetic story pieces as well, which we'll use for a variety of different activities this week. Another activity that we'll do is Scoop Up Big. So all of those foam triangles that you have, again, you've seen me mention them many times, but you're going to keep using them all month long. This one is going to be in a water table or just a small water bin. And then you have 2 different bowls, a big one and a smaller one. And your children are going to fish out the bigger triangles and put them in the big bowl, or scoop out the smaller ones and put them in the small bowl, sorting them by size. So you can see this is just kind of on a small scale, but you can put it in a larger water or sensory table and have more children with more tools sorting those as well. Along with our Forest Friends book, we're also going to make a raccoon puppet. So this is a great thing for dramatic play to allow your children to practice that character trait that they were exploring in the Forest Friends book and maybe act it out a little bit using their puppet. And then our sign language word for week 3 is going to be fall. So we'll be using our puff balls, our giant puff balls, and doing some actions that go along with the word fall. You'll also allow your children to do some sensory play with Play-Doh, creating a bridge. So your children will get some of these loose parts like popsicle sticks and Play-Doh, and then they have to kind of explore and engineer and create a bridge out of those. Great way to allow them to, be doing some of those engineering and designing, but also allowing them that sensory opportunity. If you want to, you can even pull nature into this. So rather than using the popsicle craft sticks that are included, you could always go outside and collect sticks from your playground and use those, and then the Play-Doh to kind of construct it in that way. We're going to keep exploring that triangle and the color yellow. So we're going to make a triangle tree here. In your kit, you will have the triangle shaped sponges. So you'll have those for your children to use in the colors green and yellow. And your children will get to create their own triangle tree throughout this week. This one was a complete favorite in my household. So this one is called Roll a Raccoon. It is a fun game for your children to be talking about the story. It's a fun one to learn taking turns. That was probably the hardest part in my household, was learning how to take turns. There's also counting that can be integrated into it. So all of these activities you can take in so many different ways. But this one, you notice that each of these 3 bins has one of our magnetic storytelling pieces in it that's included. And then we have our pocket cube, which has our cards of the different characters. So each child gets to roll it. Whatever it lands on, they get to take one of the big puff balls and put it in that particular bin. And then we take turns. At the end of this, we counted how many each character had. Sometimes we would predict, what do you think is going to come up next? So lots of different ways that you can get your children excited and talking and counting and all of those great skills that we want to integrate together during this simple game. We've also got some great puzzles with this one. Tops and Bottoms takes our forest friend characters and dresses them up like members of our community, and children get to match the top with the bottom on this one. This is a great one that I encourage you to maybe do with your children, but then also leave out in an area that they can go back to and explore it even further. We are also going to do some shape climb design, where we're going to allow our raccoon to climb up onto some shapes. So children get to use a variety of different collage pieces and glue those onto their paper. And then they get to decide how their raccoon can climb up to this particular shape. So in this one, this child decided that the raccoon should be on the top of that triangle. And so they showed me how to put it up on the top, and then they stuck their sticker there. Great one to call out the triangle, going back and reinforcing a lot of those different shapes that the children have explored over the past couple of months as well. We also have some other pattern guides as well with our Seek and Find. So you have some pattern guides where you're going to use a variety of different tools. So the children are going to have to look at the pattern guide and then look through all the tools that they have in here, and you can put it in a bowl, in a bin, whatever you want it to be in, and then create that pattern using the tools that they have. And then our last week that we have here, week 4, is with our board book, This Little Piggy. You have your family newsletter again with the plans that you can send home. And then you will have those magnetic storytelling pieces to go along with the story. And one of the activities, again, we're going to use those little foam triangles, and our pattern guides that we have is our triangle patterns. And so first, children are going to be able to sort the different colored triangles, and then they are going to be able to fill in these patterns. And you'll notice there are different sizes. You can take it a step further and decide only use pink ones on this one, only use yellow. So you have the ability to take this activity and take it, you follow the child's lead of exactly where you want it to go. But it's a great one for them to practice spatial awareness and color sorting and all counting, all kinds of different things. You're of course going to have your stickers for this particular book as well. So you'll have just a blank piece of paper that go along with these stickers. So a great way to allow the children to tell their own story, to be the author, or maybe retell a part of the story that they really loved. So they can put the stickers on in any way they want, and then they can tell you about what's happening in the scene, allowing them to really engage in the story in a new way, possibly. We're also going to talk about being a chef. And so each child is going to be able to create their own chef hat and then use it during dramatic play. This is a super fun one for them. So they'll get their names on it, and then they'll get to wear their own chef hat and do some play. So if you have a kitchen area, or, maybe you have that as a center that you bring out and put in, throughout the year, this would be a great time to pull out some of those kitchen tools for them to explore with their chef hat. Our 2 sign language words for this week are going to be eat and more. And then we're going to pull out those shape linking cubes again this particular week. one way that we will do that is using them and hiding them in the dough. So the Play-Doh. So you would kind of hide a different shape in there, and then children will be able to use tools or whatever you want them to use, maybe just their hands, to kind of dig out those different shapes and identify the shape, the color, maybe link them together again, and then they can hide it maybe for a friend. So it's something that they can do with a couple of their classmates to work on those social relationships as well. And then our yoga pose is going to be piggy toes. So this is a fun one to getting them moving. This goes along with music as well. And then piggy footprint is where you're going to have a little nursery rhyme on there. This little piggy is going to be on there. And then you're going to have the child put their footprint onto the page. So you'll paint their foot, press it onto there. You could also trace their foot using a marker. If you do not want to use paint, that is absolutely okay as well. And then you'll be able to recite that nursery rhyme with the children. They'll be able to take it home and recite it with their families as well. We're also going to incorporate counting money into this. So in this one, children are going to each be able to have some of these piggy dollars, and they'll be able to trade a dollar for a link. And then together as the class community, they can make a whole chain of the shapes that they've bought using their piggy dollars. You could also change it up a little bit for older children and incorporate the shape link cards where you're rolling it. And then if they land on 3, they have to give you $3 in exchange for 3 shape links. So you can incorporate that if you have children that are developmentally ready for that as well. We're also going to introduce the concept of a piggy bank. And so you'll notice that each child will have their own piggy bank that they've got. They can color it, they can design it however they want. And then you've got little gold coins. So you can have children adding however many gold coins as you want them to their piggy bank, being able to count those coins and share how much money is inside their piggy bank. For sensory play, you have a lot of different options. We're going to use our magnetic storytelling pieces. You can have them play with these in sand. If you are brave, you can have them playing with it in mud if you really want to dive into the pig. Here I have them in oats. So my children were doing a particular activity where their sensory bin was oats. So we just kind of swapped it out and played with the pigs in there as well. Again, another way for them to retell the story, to explore using those storytelling pieces, but adding a sensory element to it. Another option that you can do is wash the shapes. So those shape links that we have, having children practice the skill, that life skill of washing something. So just in a small bucket or a big sensory table, adding some soapy water, some rags, some sponges, and allowing them to really practice washing and using those different movements is also a great way to incorporate in it. Having them search, we want you to search for a yellow rectangle and wash that one. So you can incorporate a lot of those different skills in there as well. And then our toddlers will have the 5 pigs at the end of the week to be able to retell the story using this little booklet. They can color it. For your older children, if you want them to practice drawing the triangles or tracing the triangles that are on here, you can do that as well. Counting the triangles is another thing that you can do. So these aren't just coloring pages. There's a lot of other things you can do with this page that goes above and beyond, just coloring it in. And again, it's a great piece to be able to send home to families so that children can explain to their family members, this is what happened in the story, and use this as a reminder of what they did. So our toddlers are going to have fun all month long using the 4 books of Bella and the Umbrella, our community helpers Follow the Path, our Raccoon Forest Friend book, and our board book of The Little Piggy. So all month long, they are going to do sensory, lots of art, and explore and learn all about members of their community. We hope that you want to join us for November's theme of community helpers, and it is not too late. You can absolutely still order right now. Get your boxes in time to get started with November's theme of community helpers. If you have any questions, we're more than willing to help you get this ordered and help you get started with us. Now, if you do want to stick around and learn a little bit more about our curriculum, Caitlin's going to explain how to get started using Experience Curriculum.